Some friendships are rooted in heart, and with Larry Meehan, that's exactly the case. We've walked together through joy, through hardship, and across decades of spiritual exploration. A deeply experienced spiritual traveler, Larry's path has led him through recovery, service, poetry, and prayer, and he carries a quiet wisdom forged by humility and a life lived of experience. He was also instrumental in helping to spark the early conversations that would later evolve into the unified path. This is a deeply honest and moving exchange, one I'm honored to share. Here's my conversation with Larry. Larry, we've known each other a long time, and I'd say you're probably my closest and best friend. But I also remember that when we met each other in college, I think we both instantly didn't like each other.
Yeah, I wrote you off as somebody I would never need to bother with again. I didn't dislike you.
Well, yes, I thought you were one of those people who was just too much of a nerd.
I probably was then.
And terribly consumed by amateur radio, I believe it was at the time.
Actually, I had a walkie-talkie, but
It was a walkie-talkie. Yeah. And you probably saw me as just terribly conventional.
Well, you were sort of you just came across as, you know, like a business type person, which I would always find boring.
Of course, of course. But later we synced up.
Yeah.
And I think that had something to do with studying together in the honors college.
Yeah, it was at Chubb House.
Chubb House, that's right. And we had some mutual friends, and I remember a musical event that, which was one of our friends had brought a record.
Was it Judy Collins?
And it was a Judy Collins record, and the song was Suzanne.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we suddenly became friends.
Good old Suzanne. How will we ever repay her?
Yes, and Leonard Cohen, of course.
Well, yeah.
Well, and then later, you and I, for I think independent reasons, but we came together to try to find the truth.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We must have just sort of hung out together, contact at Chubb, and then outside of Chubb.
Right, and then after college, I remember that for a whole year, you and I and some other friends met at my home in Springfield, Ohio.
Right. There was a large gap in there. You went to Georgia for a while.
Yes, that's right. I worked there.
But it doesn't exist in our relationship because you were gone.
Right.
We can skip it.
We can. Not relevant.
Right.
But that was an important event. I think we called it the Tuesday Afternoon Metaphysical Society, mostly for fun reasons because nothing ever meets on time. But it was you and me and 6 or 7 other people who were really serious about finding the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You remember any of the high points of that?
The high points. Well, it was pretty interesting to bring in that professor.
Right, Professor King.
Right, because he came with his own world, you know, as we all have our own world, and you know,
right.
He shared it with us, and we had different experiences because of it, and then it went away.
I remember one of the things he did for us was charge each of us to do something that was out of character.
Right, and I never did it. It was so far out of character. I failed that one.
Well, I was essentially an indoor type, and my task was to spend at least an hour a day outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think it was Susan, who was a very theoretical type, who was given the task of taking up a craft. And then our other friend, Larry from Cincinnati, who was also a very metaphysical, conceptual type, whose task was to learn to bake bread, which he did,
yeah.
and bring it to the group. And there was also a musical element.
Yeah.
Music has been part of your life for a long time.
Yeah, since about age 6.
How does that temper or inform your journey to where we are now?
Well, it really colors everything, whether I'm aware of it or not. It's an unconscious point of reference for various forms I may encounter. Because there are often similar musical forms. So whether it's something that's visually rhythmic, then, I have the rhythm reference. And
I suppose there's
other things like that.
there's visual melodies too.
Yes.
Right. But you actually studied music. You actually studied
I did,
classical
yes.
music. Yes.
Right. That's what my piano lessons were. And then when I got to Ohio University, I tried to be a music major. Quickly found out that was not the right thing.
I also remember you talked about discovering music theory at some point. About a music teacher, as I remember the story, put down the music and said, "We're not going to play today, we're going to talk about music theory."
I don't remember that incident, but I do remember that my piano teacher spent some time, I guess about the time that I was, learning to recognize intervals, which is pretty early on. She also demonstrated the overtones, which is something that I've been happy to share with people sometimes.
These things have philosophical, metaphysical overtones, shall I say.
Yeah, that's right. There's harmony and there's dissonance, and we got plenty of the latter and could use a little more of the former.
In most of life. And then at some point, you and I discovered Sufism.
Yeah, but we ran into In Search of Miracles first.
That's right. That's a good point, because I think
That's when things started to gel.
for me and for you and for many others I know,
Yeah.
it was In Search of the Miraculous.
Right.
That was. But what was there about that made it such a turning point?
The notion that these various spiritual traditions actually had something valuable in them, and that might be a little bit hard to see, especially intellectually. But it was there, and that book laid out various ways, and we learned about esotericism that way.
That's right. It was the first time I'd ever really been exposed to the notion of esoteric truth.
Right.
And the first time I had ever given religion any serious thought as being valuable in a grand sense. And I think one of the statements I made at the time was, how clever of God to have hidden the truth in religion. Who would have think to look for it there?
That's right. That was yours. That was your observation. And it's still true. It's still there.
It's still there, yes. That's right.
If only I could just convince other people it was really there.
Well,
They think it's there, but they think it's just following rules.
it does tend to work that way, doesn't it?
It does.
But under the rules, if you can see it, there's something much more perfect. So after discovering that there was an esotericism, or there was esotericism, and there was truth in religion, how was it that that Sufism became the next step?
I think we just chanced on the way of the Sufi, the Idris Shah.
Right.
And, you know, he talks about, you know, the hidden, not so obvious at least, teachings, and like to talk about Nasruddin and tell little stories and things. So you knew that was sort of, it was just something else to confirm that there was this behind the scenes,
yes,
as it were,
right.
understanding.
Well, Sufism is, of course, the mystical part of Islam.
Yeah.
And as a mysticism, it expressed, conveyed, and contained the things that we had learned about esotericism from In Search of the Miraculous. So it didn't seem formal in that sense, that it had an interior
Right.
truth.
But yeah, what good was it otherwise, right?
Right. Exactly. And we did that for a long time.
Yeah.
And what was it that finally led you away from that? Or what was it that seemed missing or wanting? Or was it just that the organization had become cultish?
No, it was a feeling for quite some time that there was a missing element, and that I described it as spiritual or sacred psychology at the time.
Yes, you used that term.
That there was not the human soul, if you will, and you probably will, requires attention in a certain way, and the human mind, you have to learn to deal with a noisy neighbor.
Yes, the noisy neighbor.
So that was pretty much it. It was that there wasn't any like really hands-on individual
yes. Guidance, instruction.
Yeah, exactly.
It was all formal and theoretical.
Right, exactly. You could have an experience and you might get some comment about it, whether it was good or meaningless or something like that, and that would be it.
Right, and having made a comment on it, it stays conceptual, and one's done with it.
Right. Well, I know what peg to hang it on, you know.
Well, you and I made this journey together, of course, and for me, it has led to what we call the unified path, and that's really based on some of the principles that we're talking about now,
Sure.
in that one needs to look at oneself as a whole person, body, mind, heart, and soul. And you're talking about being part of an organization that didn't deal with various parts of oneself.
Right. And I just didn't consider them, they just didn't consider them as anything that needed to be dealt with. It was, remarkably cerebral and somewhat, emotion.
Yes.
They didn't connect.
Connect, yes, that's right. Connect or embody or make existential, because so many of the great truths that we read and the great sages that we'd found and read their writing, they were so beautiful and they're so true, but it isn't enough to just read them.
Right.
You have to do something to make it.
It helps to be struck by the beauty.
It's immensely helpful to be
Yeah.
struck by the beauty. And the truth is, of course, beautiful.
Right.
But then one must have to try to become that which one knows. And it isn't enough to stay in the world of beautiful texts, however beautiful they may be.
Right. Yeah. And sometimes you have to become in order to know. In other words, you may have to engage in something that is you and it, and the relationship begins to show you things.
Right, and without that engagement, there's no relationship and you can't find those things.
Right.
Well said.
I mean,
Indeed.
it's like, you know, when you first take geometry and you realize, oh, this is, you know, an important part of math, isn't it?
I see the analogy for sure. How has your approach to this changed over time as you've aged and
What do you mean this?
your
The
spiritual
search,
life?
the spiritual, yeah.
The truth.
Oh, boy.
Well, you've had some physical challenges, I know.
Sure.
And the body is, of course, part of our journey.
Yeah, well, you know, the spiritual side of things helps make the physical side of things that are uncomfortable less important. Be nice if it would just make the pain go away when it's there, but it doesn't have to intimidate me.
Interesting. Can you say more about that?
Well, you know, it is possible to withdraw your attention from somebody who's being, you know, let's say there's a toddler sitting on the floor banging on a pot or pots and pans. You can tune it out. You know, if you want to be kind and generous to natural behavior of a child.
Yes.
And not judge it. And it's the same thing with lots of other things. The first mistake we make is in judging it.
Yes.
And saying, oh, this is good, or oh, this is bad. And
judgmentalism.
yeah, and even unconscious judgment, you know, discernment even, you might use the term, but unconsciously you evaluate it, assign a quality to it, or a quantity of goodness or badness or whatever, and you're outside the experience at that point, and you're reacting to something you're representing inside.
Yes. How did you learn this, or where did this turning
Experiment.
Well, looking back at your long spiritual journey, what do you see as the key turning points, or the esotericism was one?
Oh yeah, but after that it was I see now I'm responsible for my own spiritual path. And which doesn't mean I didn't need anybody to teach me anything, but it meant that the spiritual path was not like boarding the bus and then arriving at the station.
That's right. Not like getting on the bus.
Yeah.
You say it very well. You have to take responsibility for yourself.
Right.
Yourself. So, having made this long journey, what's your spiritual life and practice like now? What has your attention and?
Well, when I'm not distracted, my attention is usually kind of on myself, not in a self-centered way, but just to remember.
Observation?
Yeah, just to remember that I also am happening. You know, it isn't just all this stuff out there.
No, you also are happy.
And that deserves some attention. It deserves a lot of attention.
Because it's happening.
Yeah, it is.
And it's you that's happening.
Or it isn't. You know, it's just something
yes.
mechanical or whatever, that it's really not you. You say, I do this, but it's not really.
No. No.
So it's escaping from the mechanical is sort
I like
of a
that,
way.
yes.
You know.
I also know that one of the people you've become interested in the last few years is the work of Guy Finley.
Yes.
What have you found so attractive about?
Well, he occupies a place in the Fourth Way lineage, which
Oh,
is
is that
what we
right?
first ran into when we read the In Search of the Miraculous.
Yes, but I didn't know he was part of that lineage.
Oh, yes, he is clearly.
Oh, all right.
And so was his teacher. But characteristic of the Fourth Way, as was described in the first book we found, is that it doesn't have a rigid form.
Mm-hmm.
That it changes its way of teaching, its way of learning, depending on, are you in the middle of a world war? What are your points of reference? Are you a laborer? Are you an academic? There are different ways to present things, and in our technological world, that's part of our. That's, unfortunately, a large part of our existence, and so things from that technology world can be used as analogies.
Yes.
Of course, you don't want to go all the way to, that thing about, the brain is just a special kind of computer. No, not that kind of analogy.
I think even neuroscience has gotten away from that at this point.
Oh, good. I'm happy for them. But we live in the age, in the world we do. And there are things going on that can be instructive. I mean, if there's turmoil in the world, that has something to teach us.
Mm-hmm.
If we have an incredibly hot spell, like I understand is approaching even as we speak.
I hear it. I hear triple digits.
Yes. So, there's, well, it just may be that individually we get to experience it and see how we respond and all that kind of stuff. But you can catch yourself, saying, man, I wish it weren't so hot. This is awful. Well, that's kind of meaningless.
But it goes back to what you were saying before about observing oneself and one's experience.
That's right.
And how key that is.
Right.
To things.
And it's not moralistic.
No.
It's not like, I broke the rule. I mean, there are kind of sort of de facto rules that we believe in, but no, it's like, it's a little bit more like, I can't believe I did that. Or, just where did the inspiration for that come from?
Yes.
Is it incongruous with other things? Does it fit? Does it mean anything? Did I just scratch an itch? Mm-hmm. Or did I perceive something important?
Right. Questions.
Yeah, the questions.
Right. The questions are key.
Well, the thing about questions is each question is an acknowledgement that you don't know something.
Right.
And it's simultaneously the openness to the answer.
That's right.
Which is, the spiritual path is realizing that you don't know everything, whether you call it God or whatever, and the asking the question is the being open to it, to the unknown.
Yes, that's the essence of a real question.
Right.
Is an opening for the answer.
Right. There's a difference between, what car are you going to take, or what are you going to wear, and stuff like that. And, why did I get so completely distracted that I forgot, I forgot myself,
Forgot myself.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
I forgot to be conscious, I drifted off in a reverie or, whatever.
Distraction, the
Distraction,
noise.
internal or external, yeah.
One of the things you've mentioned to me fairly recently is your observation that you no longer get as spontaneously angry about things.
Oh, yeah.
How does that transition work, or how did that come to be?
I had to be convinced that it was useless.
Well, anger is poisonous.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But seeing it as useless is...
It has no business being there,
and it takes a lot of energy.
It does, it does. So I worked with that, mostly, driving down the road with all those idiots.
I know those.
Yes.
Right.
And you have recourse to things like empathy. Possibly that person is, emotionally in distress.
Right.
You don't know why other people do what they do. Really, they're not. You don't get to look inside and see. But just by working with it and catching it earlier and earlier, you say it's poisonous. The poison is bitter.
Yes.
It has a certain taste. It has a certain, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. We have these expressions.
Yes, that's the expression, but it has certainly a reality to it.
Oh, a real reality, especially given that somebody said the Sufis say that the spiritual path is one of tasting.
Yes, that's right. That's right, and there are all kinds of things one might taste, but tasting anger and its bitterness and its uselessness, and as you say, being able to spot it earlier and earlier.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is what the path is.
This is what about. Any attempt to change is.
Yes.
Is that, or to break a habit. And a lot of the things we need to change, we didn't even recognize were a habit, or we thought they were good habits.
Yes, or how useless they were, or how much energy they took, or whatever.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You don't have to make an enemy out of the thing that you want to get rid of. You just recognize that it's useless. It doesn't belong.
Right, because making an enemy out of it also takes energy and is
does.
Beside the point.
Yeah, exactly. It's a total waste of energy, and you don't need to be in combat, because necessarily if you're in combat you have an enemy, and it's not good to have enemies.
Right. No.
You don't need to make something an enemy in order to separate from it.
Right.
I understand people do that in relationships. They start finding fault with each other and then they break up.
It gives them reason to do that.
Exactly,
is that right?
Exactly.
I've seen that happen too.
Yeah.
Well, for someone who's new to these things, for somebody who is interested in learning about themselves or the grander, the one, unity, and so forth, where would you suggest they start, or what?
But it really depends on. It really depends on what question they come with. Or
yes,
what,
I suppose you have to meet them where they are.
Yes, of course, but I usually just ask people questions. And they will tell you what they're, you do a little bit of that, and they'll let you know what they're interested in. They'll let you know what bothers them, what doesn't, what is important to them.
And if they're open to learning
yes, exactly,
something. Yes,
exactly. Then if there's something that you think the person would be better off having heard, you found perhaps the thing to hang it on, so that when they walk out of the room, they still have it.
so that they can hear you.
Right.
Very good. Well, to just sort of sum things up, are there a couple of general principles you could extend to everyone? A couple of points that are key, or that we can all use, or are the heart of this process?
Well, there's always the lyrics to that song that says, "Is that all there is?" And I would encourage anybody to ask that question frequently.
Is that all there is? Yes. No, 'cause there's certainly more.
Right. Yeah, I would like people to realize that they're not as together and with it as they think they are, and neither is anybody else. You know, so that it's not a shaming thing.
No. But self-observation.
Yeah, and you can. Yeah, and there's a lot you don't know, and that's all right. But isn't it wonderful? There's a lot to learn.
That's right, and here we are to learn it.
And here we are, right here.
And it's a wonderful thing.
Having an experience that is communicating reality to us at every minute, every second, even between the seconds.
Even between the seconds.
So, I guess what I would... that, you know, right here, right now, is what's actually happening, and give it the attention it needs. You know, be here now.
Be here now.
Don't be off in your mind. Don't be worrying about the future, which is still in your mind, but in your imagination. But be present for everything. You know,
and pay attention.
And pay attention.
Be here now.
Pay
and
attention.
Pay attention. Yes.
It's hard to do better than that.
You can't do better than that.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. I'd be interested in your observations and anything you'd like to add. Please leave those in comments below. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, remember, body, mind, heart, soul, one.